WCLU news coverage of the 2022 primary election is brought to you in part by HVAC Services in Glasgow.
Started out just trying to get a job out of high school, trying to get my foot in the door, trying to get a career started.
We try to be a successful business for our employees and a long-term employment for our employees.
And with this type of trade, and especially with HVAC services, the opportunities are endless.
I don't think there's a better company anywhere in Kentucky.
Welcome to today's program, Mr. Tony Richey, a candidate for Magistrate here in Barren County. Welcome to our program, a part of our 2022 election coverage here in Barren County.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So you're running for the 3rd District Magistrate's position here in Barren County, which is currently, the seat is held by Republican Carl Dickerson, has been for many years actually, but Mr. Dickerson obviously is not going to be seeking re-election, and you have one opponent in the Republican primary this spring. So let's talk a little bit first about who you are as a candidate, and then we'll get into a little bit of why you're running.
Okay. I'm a Temple Hill boy, born and bred, went to Temple Hill School, graduated there. I've lived in District 3 all but 2 years of my life, and I didn't have a choice on that. I was 2 years old when my parents come from Louisville. So the rest of my time, my family's all lived here. Just all my children and grandchildren live awful close. So it's just something that I love the area, love the community, and I worked at SKF for 31 years. I left there after I was offered an opportunity to go full-time as the emergency management director, and I took advantage of that. We had an opportunity under Judge David Greer to get into a field that you love. People are lucky that if you get a job that you love, you're never going to work a day in your life. So that was one of those things, and it is a passion. I owned Temple Hill Volunteer Fire Department for 31 years, and I was chief for 19 years. It's just one of those things. I feel like I've got a servant's heart. If I want to try to help somebody, I'll stop on the road and help somebody. If I see somebody that needs something, I want to try to help them if I can. Kind of as we went along, when I changed jobs in 2015, I went to work for the ambulance service. I've been an EMT since 1988, so it's one of those things that, again, I got to do things that I love. We worked in Metcalfe County, worked in Barren County. It's just one of those passions that you have. You really want to try to help people, and I can't explain it. I guess that kind of gets us up to date as of the 21st or 31st of January, December. I'll get it right in a minute. I retired from the ambulance service. Now I've kind of been twiddling my thumbs, I guess. I have a small farm. I haven't raised cattle, and that's kind of where the kids all want to come sled and stuff like that and have a good time. We just love the community and do whatever we can do.
Tell me a little bit about why you've been inspired to run.
Well, it's a servant's job. I mean, it's something we can do. I've always felt if we don't back up what we say, we don't have a complaint. And I feel like with my experience in emergency management and bringing in grants, we moved forward a whole lot under David Greer's administration. We got 14 safe rooms. We added to the siren system. We had a Project Lifesaver that was added to the program that helps the elderly with Alzheimer's. That's where, if money is going somewhere, there's money's available a lot of places, and some of that that's going to be the judge executive's role, but I have the experience in dealing with as far as volunteerism. We'd always help at the fair. We'd always do a lot of things dealing with the public. And I have driven in the past few days. I've driven every inch of the roads in our district, 168.3 miles. So just trying to make sure, see what they need. So I am retired, and I'm able to spend the time that needs to be spent on this job. In my feelings, I have the most qualifications to get the job.
as a farmer yourself, albeit you said a small farm, you're still running a farm. Talk a little bit about ways that you see that the court might be able to help the ag community.
One of the things that Barren County's always been for years, about as long as I can remember, they've been number one in so many areas, whether it's dairy, it used to be, and it's the tobacco production, beef cattle, just those areas that I know of. And there's things that I know can be brought into this area. You know, I'm concerned in a lot of my travels in helping people. I can see Simpson County is growing, you know, leaps and bounds. There's industry coming in everywhere. Same way with Hart County. You know, Barren County a few years ago, when everybody was working together, was that county. You know, we was growing good, and you know, there's been several years that we haven't grown. You know, we went backwards as far as number of people working. Now, we had looked for good paying jobs. This is not just a $10 an hour, and $15 an hour now is nearly impossible to try to live on, especially the way the economy is going right now. But as far as the farmers, you know, whatever we can do to make things, if we have processing, there needs to be more processing plants, and I think they're trying to work on that for the beef industry. Milk has been at the same prices for years and years and years, and whatever we would need to do, you know, we want to support the farmers. I mean, that is one of the big things in Barren County, and you know, yet we don't have as many small farmers, but we still have a lot of people that can have jobs here through the farmers.
You mentioned a little while ago about some of those missed opportunities or things that you feel like aren't being taken advantage of. What are some of those things, if you don't mind mentioning?
Well, and we know there's grants out there. There's a lot, and there's been a couple of grants brought to the county in the past year or two. But we had, like I said, the example of the safe rooms. That's one area. Those are $90,000 a piece. And, you know, again, if you figure 13%, we had them in Cave City, Park City, Glasgow, Barren County area. Well, I take it back, it wasn't in Glasgow, it's around the area. The ones that don't have it made a choice. We talked to all those entities. As I said, having backup power, which one of the things you think of if you have something, a major disaster, and this grid going down, power grid, that's a national thing. And you know, if we can be prepared, if we can be ready to shelter people, if we can take care of people, that's the main thing. Our first goal as a public official is public safety first. And that's the way I felt. You know, that was one of the big pluses I had when I worked for Davey, Judge Greer. And you know, it was just, that's one place. You know, I can't say I know everything that needs to be done as far as the different training you have to go through or whatever, as far as things we can officially do and things we can't do. I do know that I have talked with the Republican candidate for judge executive, and you know, she is telling me a lot of things. She's doing a lot of work and trying hard. That's I think one of her focuses to bring in free money. That's not going to hand you out everybody a bunch of checks, but it's going to help infrastructure. You know, there's ways we're going to be able to improve roads. There's ways we're going to hopefully get industry in here. And there's ways we're going to make things more attractive to everybody else to come to Barren County.
Sure. How do you feel like, as a candidate for magistrate and for potentially holding that seat, that the relationship, what does it need to look like for those government bodies?
You know, it's kind of ways, united we stand, divided we fall, state motto. If we don't work together, and the time that I knew when Barren County was prospering, in my feelings, it was in the late 70s or in the 70s, early 80s, because a lot of things was coming here. At that time, the city county government worked great together, what I knew of it. Did they have hiccups in the road? Yes, sir, they did. But they pulled together, and whatever it takes. I mean, Mayor Honeycutt had made a statement one time, whatever it takes to get this in here, whether he could legally do it or not. I mean, I'm not saying he did anything illegal, but he was willing to do what it took to get the job done. And that was kind of the deal. It's been more of, you know, let's just take me. And, you know, the county's at issues with the occupational tax, stuff like that. We don't have that. So all we have in the county, and we're on limited funding, that we only have property taxes, vehicle taxes, stuff like that, and we don't get all that. So the funding for the county is a whole lot less, but again, we can all pull together. And that's what we're going to have to do. It may not be popular in some ways, but you know, we need to be attractive. I hate to try to quote a date, but we've been elected as we was posted as the #1 place to live in the U.S. You know, so that's something that I don't know if we can say that now or not. You know, in driving these miles around that I see, there's some things that need to be done. There's roads need to be made better. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be cleaned up, you know, to be attractive.
If you had 30 seconds to describe why someone should vote for you for District 3 Magistrate this primary election, what would you say?
I would tell you that I'm a family man. I love my children and I love my grandchildren. I love I'm lucky my parents are both still alive. And I've always tried to be community oriented. I love helping people. People think they know my heart, but they don't. I want to do what I can to help people, and that would be what I would try to say. I'm just a servant that I want to help.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mr. Tony Richey, Magistrate District 3 candidate on the Republican ticket this May primary. We thank you for participating in this interview, and best of luck, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate for the invitation.